one of my favorite paintings, and so that's what I've decided to do. If you guys want, you can pull out a spare napkin, piece of paper, a pen, a pencil, and just follow along, and I think you will learn a lot. There's just a word of precaution. I don't want people beating themselves up today. The key to becoming good at something is a lot of work, and it takes a lot of time. There's a psychologist named Malcolm Gladwell, and he said the difference between a normal person and an expert is 10,000 hours. So if you can't do what I do today, it's because you haven't done 10,000 hours of what I'm about to do. So just be patient and start hour 1 is maybe now. Just keep going. So just the basics. This is a palette right here. It's what you put your paint in. This is oil paint, I think. I know this is oil paint because I'm a painter. And, my preferred paint, though, is watercolor. It's easier to work with. I don't know if that's enough. So, I'm just going to get the paint out. I'll go quick. You also use you'll see I'm using a couple other things today. I'm going to use a paintbrush. I'm also going to use a couple paintbrushes, and I'm going to use a piece. It's not a piece of paper. It's actually called canvas, and that's what I'm going to be putting the paint onto. So. Sorry, I should have gotten this paint ready beforehand.
Don't touch that.
I'm just basically putting the primary colors out on here. We've got black, blue, yellow, raw umber, form of brown, another form of yellow, and another form of red. Okay. So start with this one. Okay. So I don't have an easel. This is where I would normally do my painting. I'm just going to put it up on here. I hope you have your, let's get ready to follow along. Anyways, I'm going to start, we always start with the background, and I'm just going to start with just nice, jagged mountains. You want them pointy. Like, there's no writing on here. They have to know that it's a mountain. That is a mountain range. Gently flowing through my canvas is going to be a nice river. And I just kind of made an S curve through. And I use an S curve because S curves, they give the viewer a feeling of movement. So don't do too many S curves because people will get dizzy. I just normally do one S curve. Now, in the very center of my canvas, I'm going to paint a little. It's a watermill. Go. Almost there. So that's my watermill. I'm also going to do a little window up top for. I need finer paint. Don't forget that you have a finer paintbrush for the details. And I'm going to draw a little person up there. And he's waving the window. Now, another thing is that it's important for this to be realistic. So if you don't get exactly what I'm doing, watch and try afterwards. Now, one of my pet peeves with art is that everyone thinks you're supposed to interpret it. Now, I know what I drew, and I drew it for a reason, and there's a purpose behind it. So sometimes I'll actually label my art, because then I don't have to sit there and listen to someone pretend they know what they're talking So I really hope, if you're following along, you better be copying this like exactly, because you haven't done your 10,000 hours yet, and you shouldn't be trying to be creative at this point. Copy and learn from the expert. Now, I'm also going to run low on blue. I'll make it black. So I'm going to draw a little fish. Along here. Now, I like to give my animals smiling faces because I feel that it portrays an emotion and it sets the mood. You're swimming upstream, trying to get away from the water mill so it isn't ground up and so I didn't tell you this. It's gonna be obvious in a minute, but this is actually in Canada. I'm from Canada, and I want you people to know that this is a Canadian painting. So I'm actually gonna put beaver on this. And beavers are Canadian animals. You've seen them in the States, but they're immigrants, and they're Canadian animals. So in order to identify a beaver in art, you have to give them a very large tail. That's the rest of the body right there. He's smiling as well, although he is ticked off at me because I am in the windmill, or the water mill. That used to be his beaver dam. So I can't draw him with a frowny face because all my animals get smiley faces. Just put little lines above. That means like its tail is slapping the water. You can see the motion. And, so that way the person looking at the picture, they know what they're looking at. Finally, we're almost done. The last thing that we're going to do is I'm going to put a flower right in there. And I'm going to make the flower yellow because I make all my flowers yellow, actually. And the reason why is just because yellow is a very happy color. And flowers are they're just happy. They're happy things. So, that is it. You've now learned how to paint a picture. Fairly complicated. But it's not actually done. It's if you want to get famous in art, you actually have to sign everything you do so people know you did it. So there we go. So that's my painting, and I hope you learned something and try it out on your own later on.